I would like to welcome everyone, Dato-Dato, Datin-Datin, kawan-kawan, Papinay, Sabiari. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude and appreciation to Borneo Forum, especially to Richard, Ellen, Ken, and Eva, for giving me this opportunity to share a truly life-changing journey of going back into time on a private and a personal quest for historical knowledge of the Kadazan people, the richness, diverse, unique cultural heritage, and an amazing and wonderful experience. Why I choose this subject during this Harvest Festival? So we're going to celebrate Harvest Festival with history. When I talk to my youngest daughter told me, Daddy, I can get Penampang history very fast. I just can check Google, YouTube, I can get the history. But I said, can you Google the story of your Odu? Who's that? Yeah. So this story that I'm going to say today is the first time that I ever share this after a period of 200 years. Why we don't share this earlier? Because in the past we take this matter very lightly, and we are not very serious about our ancestors. You know, we don't. And then another thing is, we also doesn't have all the material. Doesn't help the people who can tell us the story. Before we go further, I would like to wish everyone Kopi Bosian, Tadao, Tagazodo, Kahamatan. Borneo Forum truly a bridge between Borneo people and the world. So I will start.
Yes.
So those people yang bukan dari Sabah, Sabah actually Penampang is somewhere here. Penampang is the capital Penampang of district, West Coast Division. Mungkin next time saya akan cerita Papar history. I also have the story, but today I share Penampang history but from my Odu perspective. Okay, and then Penampang population is about more than 100 over 1,000, and the ethnic Kadazan is the majority of the Penampang people. Okay, you can see Penampang there. And then if you come to Penampang, macam si Richard sudah lama tidak balik, Richard. Ini lah Penampang sekarang ada KDCS ini, KCS ini, Saint Michael ada di sini. Let me use, okay. And then di sini ada Pogunan Community Museum, sini ada
look at, okay. Are you okay, Shari?
Many other yeah, Ken?
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
So this is the overview. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
This is the overview of the oral history, the first ever on this live today that I share the story of Odu Toila of Guunsing-Hungab, Penampang Circa 1,800, of which this story kept by my family for 200 years. I also never dare to share the story because I thought it was like, a folklore story or legend story. But it took me 20 years to do a slow research on this, But this research actually transformed my life. It's a real journey finding your real identity. So during this celebration, we observe a day, commemorate an event about our historical past. So I'm taking this opportunity to talk about historical past, an event that raises important critical question of stories about our own ancestors, passed down from generation to generation. An event that preserves historical stories such as oral history of early local pioneer, kampung founders, early challenges, adversity, success for posterity. An event can engage history in a meaningful and constructive way. An event on how history is mobilized in ways that both reinforce existing power relations and mystify the past in the quest of the truth and historical knowledge. And even owning our own narrative. So meaning not people telling you your story, but you are telling your story based on your own information, findings, and whatnot. Can you see this?
Yes, yes.
Let me introduce myself. My name is Shari Jeffri. Shari, son of Jeffri. Jeffri, son of Aziza. Aziza, daughter of Odu Telia. Odu Telia is the daughter of Odu Nandi. And Odu Nandi is the daughter of Odu Toila. I'm a sixth direct descendant of Odu Telia, as told to me by my late grandmother, Aziza, a family line unbroken for 6 generations. I never met my grandmothers. This one, Odu Telia, I never met. But when I was little, I did hear about her story up to her grandmother while growing up. She was part of an arranged marriage to a coastal people, something beyond her control. Around 200 years ago, she moved out from Guunsing, go to Hungab. From Hungab, she moved to Kutatan, and eventually she settled at Bukit Istana Lama Sabah State Museum. So this is the photo of Sabah State Museum before this, during this. This is Sabah, this is the governor house, this is Sabah State Museum. This is my Odu Telia. She passed away in 1970s at the age of 120 years old. And this is the Kelura, this is the bundu tree in front of the Sabah State Museum where Odu Toila was buried, somewhere around here, This is me when I was 6 years old. This is me around 9 years old. And then this is me 10, 11 years old. And this is the daughters of Odu Telia, 6 of them. And this is the 6th person who are very close to me. And they always tell me story. The first story I heard will be about, Mount Kinabalu, about Kadazan and whatnot. A family, according to them, her family line was a generation of Bobohizan in the olden days. Religion does not exist in this village back in 1800. Even until my grandmother, which is this one, Aziza, she still perform renite or inite that transcend religion. And they claim that they possess supernatural abilities. And then they also shared to me that there was a peace treaty between the coastal people and the Kadazan people. She is the descendant of those peace treaty between the coastal people and the Kadazan people. So again, as I said, decided to celebrate Harvest Festival by sharing Untold story, first time live. My Odu at the same time learning Sabah unique and diverse culture, heritage, and story. So I try to put the story as simple as possible. This is what I heard when somewhere in 1976, 1986, about 10 years. This is the story that they repeat again and again and again for 10 years. Odu Toila told the children and grandchildren that she originally come from some place near Mount Kinabalu hundreds and hundreds years ago. And then about 200 to 300 years ago, there are migrations from Mount Kinabalu area to and from Tambu. They cross the Crocker Range. Indigenous tribe, they call it Bangkakon and Tanggara. The Bangkakon arrived at northern Moyok first, then after that the Tanggara arrived southern Moyok. So when these two tribes arrived, they already faced some problems. They are into tribal war with the Tanggara Tagahas, Bangkawan got problem with the Tagahas. The Tanggara also have a problem with Tagahas. This is oral history first. Later on, I will show you how this story I check and verify. And then from northern Moyok, they moved to Minindot, the Bangkaon, the Tanggara, southern Moyok go to Sugut, and from Sugut to Purai, to Minindot. So the Bangkaon covered this area, so they have few problems here. They have the Tagahas problem here because Tagahas cover the hilly side. The Bangkaon moving toward the plain side. The Tanggara also having problem with the Tagahas, and then they also having problem. They also moving toward the plains in the Tagahas cover. So there is an intertribal war during this time. They don't immediately during the migration go into Penampang because in Utatan about 100 years ago there is a Chinese colony. I will talk about the Chinese colony later on. So what actually happened at the end of the day, this Tanggara and Bangkaon find it very good to actually join forces. And these two tribes become the forefather of the Kadazan Penampang. Okay? And then they have many wars. So I will share a story about the war also later on. I begin my research in 1996. It's a slow process because we doesn't have the resources and we also doesn't have the material. We also doesn't discover a lot of manuscript. Also. And then earlier on, I was thinking that this is the story of legends. What I remember is when the first time Odu Toila story was brought upon by the 6 ladies that you saw just now, the elder woman. When they start crying, and then when I asked them, Grandma, why you cry? And then the grandma told me, there are so much pain and sadness in remembrance. Time change, soon things will be forgotten. They said. They told me personally, if ever that Shari, you share this story in years to come, just tell them, the long lost family, that they are sorry. They say that they cannot get in this lifetime. Tell them we never forget them. Tell them that we missed them. So this story today is a tribute.
Okay, look like Shari is frozen a bit. Hold on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you were frozen for a few minutes, for a few seconds.
Few seconds, huh?
Yeah, you're okay now.
So I just share this part. I was here just now, is it?
Correct.
So I remember the first time mentioning about Odu Toila a long time ago. The entire group of the elder women, they cried. And when I asked them why you cry, the answer was that there was so much pain, sadness in remembrance. And time change, soon things will be forgotten, they said. They told me personally, Shari, if ever that you share this story in years to come, just tell them whoever they are, the long lost family, that they are sorry, that they cannot get together in this lifetime. Tell them we never forget them. Tell them that we miss them. So today's story is a tribute to all those wonderful ladies. When I was growing up, I was raised by my grandparents because my father was involved in the war, the confrontation, the communist insurgency. So he left us behind with our grandparents, So over the last 20 years, this is the process that I did. It's a very simple research methodology. Look for the primary source and the secondary source. Actually, I'm having difficulty to get the primary source, but the secondary source, I got a lot. I got books, This is the book written by me, and this book already presented in Brunei. And this is the certificate certificate that I got from Brunei. And then I went to London, your place then, and then I found some old manuscript. This is all manuscript belong to me. And in this manuscript, changed my perspective about Sabah history. And then I also went to Sabah archive. I read all official gazette, and I look at the North Borneo Herald. I go to Sabah Museum. I try to get some old photo. So this is the artifact left behind by my ancestors. They are all under our safekeeping. And this is site visit that I done to various places in Penampang. So what I did was, using all this information, I tried to make a timeline based on the story of my order. Okay, so I would not go very far because most of the story everybody know. If you go to KDCA, you can find a lot of books about the Mount Kinabalu, the legend, the Nunokragan, the migration. So I will not go very far, but there will be some book about written by PhD and they talk about Nunokragan, the migration, and PhD in this book about Mangkar. And in 1763, this is an important, interesting fact that I discovered. Alexander Rampil mentioned about Tuaran in 1767, mentioned about Tuaran and Papar, they mentioned. So meaning the Papar settlement is much more older than the Penampang settlement. They didn't mention about Penampang, but they did mention about Putatan. This is 1767. And Thomas Forrest, somewhere around 1779, also talk about Putatan, but River Putatan, a place where they got hundreds of houses of Chinese paper garden. So all these books belong to me, my personal collection. So it's not like I do research, I just reading, and then I try to remember what my Odu say. And then, so if there is such migration, if there is such Itangot Mangayaw, and if there is such a revolt, as what mentioned in the history book, then it will happen between 1700 to 1880, because you know that after 1884, Putatan was given grant to the chartered company. In 1880, that's the first time John White had mentioned about Penampang, and Penampang is actually at the Putatan district. In 1883, another colonial officer mentioned that there are traces of former Chinese settler, but these Chinese settler, they already moved out. In 1880s, they moved out. They say these people are not very happy with the Sultan because of bad government. And then the paper cultivation discontinued. This is the original copy of the original treaty of Sultan Abdul Mumin, Pangeran Muda Ghani Jainuddin, give away Putatan on the 23rd of March 1884. And then I also got this book dated in December 1884 by S.E. Rampil, who actually exposed the name of 47 villages in Penampang and Putatan and the name of the Ketua Kampung. To me, wow, this is very interesting. I can see the first time the name of Ketua Kampung of all the Penampang villages in 1884. So I got the list. I'm going to say to you all. Owen Ruther said in 1910, 1914, already referred Penampang as an area. The Brunei Sultanate only cover the coastal area, and they are not very strong at the coastal area. The interior of North Borneo considered as no man's land. This is what has been written by Owen Ruther. And then I try to check back, apart from P.S. Sim, who is the other person who talk about Bangka. So in 1960, an explorer, archaeologist, ethnologist by the name of Tom Harrison, in this book, they call the prehistory of Bon Sabah, he mentioned that the Bangkakon people that live in a long house on a hill in Limbana, the Bangkakon were under constant threat by the Tagahas, who were only interested in their head rather than their land. Harrison recorded the narrative that stated the Bangkakon are the forefather of the present Penampang Kadazan. So from that timeline, I divided into a few events that I must learn. One, I need to learn quickly about the legend, custom, belief of the Kadazan, which is the Pinoingan, the Siminondo, the Nunokraga, the Watu Papaka, migration, and intertribal. So I need to find a lot of information about it. Secondly, I need to know also about the harvest festival and the sacred tradition of the Bambazon and the spirit of the Minodon, the Pinoringan, the daughter of Pinoringan and Suminundo. I also try to understand the meaning of Tadal Kamatan, the Magabu, and the Uduk. And then the event that from that timeline also, I also put an event of Penampang and historical heritage. Where is the word Penampang come from, and where is the word Dongongon come from, and then when is the arrival of the indigenous people to Penampang? When is the intertribal war, the Minsangon Rondo? I'm also interested to find out about the Petatan history and early Chinese as much as I want to know Penampang history. And then I also want to know these tribes, the Bangkakon, the Tanggara, and the Tagahas, because they are the forefathers of the Kadazan. And then I also need to know about a little bit about the Brunei history. So this is the first time we can combine, the history of the Kadazan, the history of the coastal, and the history of the Brunei together, and the history that we collect from the these colonial historian. So what is the history learned here from the story of my Odo and the research that I done? That actually, if you done your research about your ancestors, there are two things that you will find out. One will be the Penampang history, and the other one, which is the more recent one, on the 19th century, is the Penampang War, the intertribal war, the Minsangon, the Mangayang, and also the revolt against the Brunei tax collector, Then you will talk about the Guanxiao, the Pangazao, the Tabais, the Tabai. This is all the terminology used. The Terawi reward, the Sidong Kulan Fort, the Buis Kulintangan reward, the Kulintangan Fort, Guunsing-Hungab, Tuno, and Bahang. This is the main center of the reward. Of course, there are many others, but this is some stories, and this is some of the great warriors, Mount Sophia, Lasso, Sagir, and they are also a practice of Kobo, which is Kabal. This is some of the famous warriors, Sagir, Dasan, Lasso, Bokwang, Buka, Botinda, Lombunan, Pulinda, Bantani, Bojintil, Sobia. This is some. There are many others, depending on who telling you the story. There are these some early leaders of Penampang, Datuk Menteri Babu Silipan, Datuk Damidal Tulingo, Datuk Sudampang, Datuk Panglima Banting, orang kaya Sabandar, orang kaya Datuk Setia, Datuk Perkasa, Datuk Pangeran, Datuk Kilan, Datuk Maharaja Lela Cinsui, and Pangeran Semaraja. So over the last 20 years, I try to find who is these people, and then of course I want to know the history as well. So in a quick look, everybody know this. This is a story about Pinoingan, Inmuinodon. So the younger generation, like my children, they must know this. The Pinoingan, the Suminundu, Hominodon, Hakinabalu, the Nokraga, the early settlement in Tompios, Tiwagu, Ranao, and the migration from the Nokraga. So this map is the final migration location of various indigenous tribes around 200 to 300 years ago. You can see the Liwan occupy this area, the Tagahas occupy this few area, the Bundu occupy this area, Tindal occupy this area, Lotut occupy this area, Tobuilong occupy this area, this is Edinana, Bangkakon occupy this area, the Tagaa occupy this area, the Kadazan Papa occupy this area. So I did some research about the Putatan Penampang early settlement. In 1779, if everybody can check a book written by Thomas Warren, he said Putatan lies to the southward of Pulau Gaya, entirely out of the bay. Its bar is smooth but likewise shallow. 3 or 4 miles up the river of Putatan stands a town. There is a town at Putatan. And the houses, about 100 fronting the water. Above the town, there are many paper gardens belonging to the Chinese in a delightful country. So this is a sample of paper plantation or garden at Penampang back then, about 100 years ago, 1779. So this is how, and then during that time, if you look at it in the 18th century, spice is considered gold, you know, it can be spread around the world. Can you see this? This is the meaning of Penampang. It comes from the word Pampang, which is big rock. So I assemble a couple of big rock, you know, at Penampang. This is Kampung Kurai, Kampung Pogunon, Kampung Guunsing, Kampung Buithir, Kampung Subut, Kampung Ketiau. And then this is Putatan. You see, this is the ship who use the river Putatan to go into Tarawih using Moyok River. This is the river from Putatan. They go inside to Tarawih. And this is shared by our friend, Mr. Richard. This is the last traditional longhouse in Penampang, the house of Bohing Kitas, Boboh Izan, Bianti, Tindal, Mujing, at Kampung Kadazan, Penampang. So this is how Penampang looked like about 100 years ago. This is, I think, should be somewhere in 1950, if I'm not mistaken. This story of the stone very interesting. I want to share to you. This is a story stone about Kampung Guunsing. This stone actually they got it from Pulau Gaya. So they take the stone, they put on a bamboo raft, and then they pull all over towards the river. And when they reach the dry ground, they use 10 buffalo to pull this stone. And then when they pull this stone, about 3 to 5 bobohizan accompany. So there are many meaning of why there is what is the meaning of this stone. It could be a ritual ceremony of Maga. It could be hot stone, peace treaty. It could be agreed to native law, an agreement. It also if you don't have children, you want people to remember you, you put one stone like this. And it could be a tombstone as well, you know. I share a little bit about the Brunei history, not saying that I want to tell you a lot about Brunei history, but they are around during 1500 to 1700. But toward the end, they are very weak government, and those people are under them are not so honest, and they charge so much tax, so much so until the people not so happy, and they revolt. You know, so when you look into the history of Penampang for the last 300 years, you find out that there are a few events uh, actually happen. There are great Kadaran warriors, the Pangazao, who actually involved in somewhat Mangayao. You know, I will not go further because I think everybody will know what is somewhat Mangayao all about. And then they also are great Tagaas warrior, Sigontok Kaduro. And there is a disagreement between the Penampang people against the tax collector because they call the tax collector Tabay or Tabay's Mangwak. You know, Mangwak, Tabay's Mangwak mean they go to your house and they bukal and they go and kacau instead of taking baras or younger produce, they, they, they take whatever they like. So you see the Penampang people, they are not really happy with it. You know, there are war initially when they move to Penampang, but they have a peace treaty. But with the conduct of this tax collector also very unforgiving, so much so they reward, but not just Penampang people reward during that time. Based on historical research, there is a lot of indigenous tribe reward in Padas, in Kudat, in Kota Marudu, Kota Belo, even in Keningau, Tenam. There is a lot of indigenous reward, and there is a lot of story to be shared. You know? So I collected a little bit of story about Mount Sophia, you know, son of Dungo Kizabon, maternal grandson to a village headman of Kurai. A story about Lasso Sagir, a story about Datu Menteri Babu, you know, a wife of Saridik Leong. So I'm interested to know this early history during the celebration. It's good to talk about the early history of Penampang and who is this warrior, and we celebrate their story. Again, I bring you back to 1884. This is my private collection. This is the discovery of the old manuscript. This changed my perspective about Penampang history. Because when I read about this story, of which never been checked, this document I got from National Archive Q, bring back this book from London, and inside this book, there is 47 Ketua Kampung of Penampang. All their names here, dated 1884. So this get me excited. So I think, oh, this is the time probably I can find Toila punya father, relatives and whatnot. Really. So what I did was, I'm having problem immediately because the Orang Putih, the way they pronounce the villages is by phonic, you know. They listen and then they Pagunan, they put Pagunon, Pagansakan. And then this is the name of the Ketua Kampung. You know? I don't know whether you all can see it. In like in Nobong, they mentioned Nobong. The Ketua Kampung in 1884 was the name Sitinggal. Putaton, the Ketua Kampung is Dompo, Kolopis, Danting, and it go on. So what I did actually to relate the story of my Odo and my research, since I got this information, I tried to visit some of the people that the descendant, that the name I saw here. For example, Menteri Babu. I tried to go further. I tried to research further who is Datuk Menteri Babu, what is her contribution, and what is her story all about. And then I also try to locate Datuk Setia descendant. I visited the descendant house. I also look for Pangeran Kamaraja descendant. So these three, I managed to visit their places, and then I can find some stories. Of course, I was hoping I can meet up the descendant of all this story. Not so much to connect me to Odu Toila, to the Penampang people, because it's a bit difficult for me to link, but just for the simple sake of knowing the truth in history, you know. Anybody want to have the list, I can share to them, I can email to them, they just inform Richard on this forum, I can send to them. So first thing I want to thank Mr. Aftar Singh and the family member of Menteri Babu who give me the honor to visit this memorial of Menteri Babu in Tarawi. You know, this is some of the writing about Putakan Menteri Babu in the Herald Menteri Babu, and this is the salary paid to Menteri Babu. You know, about $5, and she also entitled for 1/4 of the collection of the text, and she's also one of the person who responsible to find peace in Penampang. And this is the uniqueness of the cemetery or the memorial of the two Menteri Babu. I don't know whether you all can see it. Her name is Limpai, wife of Saladek. And then if you look at the memorial, my apology to the family members, just for the sake of history. You see, they put Tajau here, and then they put Nissan and Mother Mary here. So you see this uniqueness about hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Shari.
Are we here just now?
We got frozen for a second. Yeah.
Very short, very short.
Oh,
Very
okay.
short. Yeah.
So I would like to thank the family member of the Menteri Babu for bringing me to this place. This is the photo taken by me personally, and I was very surprised that this is the uniqueness of Sabah culture. That it transcends race and religion. You know, meaning they respect every race and religion. So I'm very proud to be part of a Bornean people. I also visit the place where they got the reward. They got a few fought. If you read the history, there is a Kulintangan War in Dongongon where Lasso or Goa fought against the Bruneian tax collector. They killed all the 50 tax collectors and they cut off their head and paraded them. I think after this war in Fort Kulintangan, Dongongon, which is around this area, they got two forts here. One is Kulintangan and one is Fort Dambasai, also in Dongongon. This is the last war between the Brunei tax collector. They are so daring, 50 of them. They try to attack against the Pangazau. They all died. And then the Sultan got attacked after that. He don't know how to solve this problem. Instead of sending more troops, more army to wage war, they decided to find for peaceful solutions. This is another fort. This is the place where the cemetery of Datuk Menteri Babu, and which is very coincidentally very near to Fort Sinongkulan, where another great warrior of Guunsing-Hungab, the name is Sagia. He put a big block this river. This is from Putatan, you know. So he broke this river whereby his Pangazau team army can attack the Tabais or the tax collector and kill all the tax collectors. So I would like to take this opportunity to propose if there's something to be done around this area, because this is the remnant of our rich historical heritage. Go back to find my audio link. I go to many MP3 in Sinakagot. I still cannot find it. Of course, I also read a lot of books and references. I also got myself dictionary of the Kadazan just to read some of the Kadazan books. All this is my private collections. This is some of the books that took me 20 years to collect and to read about the Kadazan history and the Brunei history, the Sabah history, and Penampang history. If you go to some of these books, they will tell you correspond to the story. I also read folklore story. This is the book personally given to me by Mamai Blasius Pinjuaka. He passed give me this book, and I was very honored. I talked to him and whatnot. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, the conclusion is it is very important to know and learn about your family history, as your ancestor is the root of your existence. Develop critical study about our ancestor and share family history. Write research your family tree, conduct genealogy study, respecting how difficult and impossible it may be. History is part of a conversation with your children, family member, friends about meaning, connection to the present. This sharing session, we does not claim some sort of authority of history. We require more information, still hunger for historical knowledge. Historian approach should assume the role of arbiters of accuracy. We also does not challenge any existing and popular narrative. Not telling people that their history narrative is incorrect. There is much to be gained by listening, talking about the past. So just want to conclude this presentation today. Started from an oral history of my Odu. Although I cannot find the link to the present day people, but indirectly I get enormous benefit from the research that I did of learning the history and unique cultural heritage of Penampang, Kadazan, that I could share to everyone today. So this is the resources that I use for today's presentation, and special thanks to everyone who assisted me to get all the data and information in the articles and the manuscript, and finish this presentation today with Koto Hadan, and I'm getting ready to ride my buffalo to go home back to Kota Kinabalu. So thank you very much, everyone.